What does the most mysterious place in US history look like? UFOs and werewolves, strange sounds and portals between worlds. I'll tell you an incredible story from earlier with Kino Mocha. What kind of crap is going on there? And why do people try to avoid this place? Get ready. It will be terribly interesting, especially at the end. What kind of place is this anyway? An ordinary ranch, but with a very unusual reputation from the very first days. When this land passed into the hands of new owners, the place began to be surrounded by an aura of mystery. Mysterious reports of UFOs and other anomalies began to appear long before. This story reached the pages of newspapers in 1996, but the true name of the Skinwalker Ranch came later, 1980s and 1990s, replacing the previous Sherman Ranch. Where did this nickname come from? The word Skinwalker comes from Indian legends about mystical werewolves able to turn into animals. These creatures, as legends say, can have human features, glowing red eyes and sharp teeth, always exuding an atmosphere of malice and aggression. Locals told of strange creatures, such as an invulnerable wolf and a muscular hyena, attacking a horse, as well as of a certain creature resembling a bear, although bears do not live in these places. Long ago there were rumors about photographs of skinwalkers, which many considered fake, but this did not diminish the interest in these mystical stories. But how it all began, in 1970, when the Sherman family bought an earlier in the state of Utah, they imagined that they were starting a new ideal life, dreaming of a farm, children, and a quiet village life. But the reality turned out to be much darker and more mysterious almost immediately. After moving to the ranch, the Shermans encountered incomprehensible phenomena. An invisible presence in their house was felt by everything. Time voices and whispers appeared out of nowhere and just as suddenly disappeared, creating a feeling that there was always someone nearby. But that was only the beginning. After 5 months, the paranormal activity intensified. The family saw fuzzy human silhouettes that appeared and disappeared like ghost subjects in the house, began to move on their own, and dreams were equally creepy for all family members, made the nights a real challenge. The Shermans felt how invisible forces were pushing them when they passed by certain places in the house or on the property, which only added to the fear of the feeling of hopelessness. These phenomena were just the tip of the iceberg in a series of mysterious events that made the 7 doubt their decision to move to this ranch. The problems were not only in the house. They observed strange circles in the fields made of wheat, pressed to the ground, which in itself was already worrying. But one day, the Shermans saw something exceeding all their expectations: a huge spaceship, the size of 2 football fields, floating above the ground. Initially, Terry Sherman assumed that everything that was happening could be part of secret government experiments. However, when unknown wild animals began to appear on the ranch, this theory was rejected. Local residents and neighbors witnessed the appearance of creatures resembling skinwalkers, ancient werewolves according to Indian legends, with red eyes and aggressive behavior. They had noticed wolves before, which were not affected bullets, a muscular hyena, and even bears, which should not have been in this area. All this was accompanied by the disappearance of cattle, which only confirmed the gloomy guesses about paranormal activity in this place. Having experienced many horrors, the Sherman family realized that staying on the ranch was becoming dangerous. They decided to sell it to Robert Bigelow, hoping to get rid of the curse of this land. But even after the sale, the mysterious events on the ranch with Kinoka did not stop remaining the subject of discussions and research. Robert Bigelow was a difficult buyer. This is a billionaire known for his passion for paranormal phenomena and the study of the inexplicable. He consciously acquired the ranch with Kinoka to solve its mysteries. This place has long been famous for its anomalous events, and Bigelow hoped To immerse himself in their study using advanced technologies and scientific methods, his interest in the ranch was fueled by numerous stories of UFO sightings and paranormal activity recorded by previous owners and locals. After purchasing the ranch, Bigelow installed special equipment there to record any unusual activity. With the help of this equipment, he was able to document strange alien activity, which became important evidence in support of his theory about the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. In addition, he personally and his team of researchers witnessed the appearance of mysterious creatures, very similar to those described by local residents and the Sherman family. These creatures, resembling skinwalkers, appeared as if out of nowhere. Their presence was accompanied by a strange atmosphere and often electromagnetic anomalies. Bigelow suggested that invisible portals used to exist on the territory through which these creatures move between their worlds and ours. Confirmation of this theory served as several strange incidents associated with the disappearance and unexplained appearance of objects. For example, once when Bigelow tried to dig a hole on the ranch site, his shovel suddenly disappeared and was found only after 2 weeks, hanging on tree branch. Here's how this can happen. According to the stories, any attempts to dig the earth on this site result in a series of strange and sometimes disturbing events. Tools suddenly disappear the moment they are distracted and then turn up in the most unlikely and hard-to-reach places. Of the previous owners of the ranch shares a story of how, while preparing to dig a hole, his shovel disappeared without a trace. When he turned away for just a moment, however, the most disturbing incident involves one of the ranch workers who began digging holes to install a fence. Shortly after starting work, he suddenly felt a deterioration in his health, felt very weak and tired. His condition quickly worsened, and he was soon hospitalized. At the hospital, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor which had not previously manifested itself. The outcome of this story remains unknown, adding another mystery to the many unsolved mysteries of the ranch in the year 2. Despite significant finds and advances in research, Bigelow suddenly stopped all work on the ranch and moved to another city. This place, shrouded in bad fame and secret, she was able to. Only many years later, in 2016, Brandon Fugel became the new owner-head of a large real estate agency interested in the history and anomalies of the ranch. He also tried to document all the oddities that happened to this place. But his loved ones began to suddenly get sick, constant headaches, vomiting and dizziness as a result. He also ran away from this ranch, by the way. Many scientists also share the opinion that there may be portals to other worlds in the early days. This may explain paranormal activity and strange animals, although this sounds fantastic. Nevertheless, the collected evidence and stories of eyewitnesses make you think. Many of these stories describe cases when objects, animals, and sometimes people suddenly disappeared right before the eyes of others, or, on the contrary, appeared from out of nowhere. These stories are supported by a variety of records and evidence collected by both professional researchers and random witnesses. One of these cases show a person watched the disappearance of his dog, which ran after a strange glowing object, and suddenly disappeared without a trace. Another case is associated with the appearance of mysterious lights in the air, which merged into one bright point and disappeared, leaving behind only a faint trace of light. Several testimonies described a situation when things left on the ground simply disappeared the next day. Neighbors carried away, everything is fenced in, and who might need a shovel or bucket, and something was found later, but in completely different places. That's what it could be. Although aliens could also be involved, mysterious UFO sightings in the area of the Skinwalker Ranch date back to the 1950s, fueling interest in this area as the epicenter of paranormal phenomena. One of the most notable cases that captured the attention of the public and scientists was an incident in 1978 when at night a huge flying object in the shape of a saucer rushed through the area. This object was seen simultaneously by many witnesses in different parts of the area, which adds weight and credibility to their stories. Eyewitnesses describe it as silvery, surrounded by a greenish glow. Especially notable was the dome on top, resembling a round handle on the lid of a saucepan, which gave the object not only an unusual appearance, but also technological mystery. The most intriguing moment was the absence of any sounds when the object moved despite its impressive size. This detail is often found in UFO testimonies and is one of the characteristics that make the observations convincing and difficult to explain from the point of view of modern science. What else strange have scientists documented at the Skinwalker Ranch? Of the most mysterious and discussed phenomena are voices coming from nowhere. Many visitors and residents of the ranch encountered this strange phenomenon when voices suddenly penetrate space, fill it for a moment, and also suddenly disappear. According to testimony, these voices sometimes sound like a whisper right next to someone's ear, creating the illusion of the presence of an invisible interlocutor, an accompanying phenomenon enhancing the mystical atmosphere of the ranchare. The sensations of touch from invisible entities, visitors and residents have repeatedly described moments when they seem to be something or someone pushed, as if an invisible hand or foot was trying to get their attention or indicate its presence. In addition, there have been cases of the appearance of translucent human silhouettes which seem almost ghostly figures. Sometimes these figures were accompanied by small flying balls of light, known as orbs. These glowing objects are often associated with paranormal activity and can appear in different places, earning even more horror. I would have run away from there too. I'm being honest, but what's happening on now with the arrival of Brandon Fugel, new owner? I'll throw Walker off earlier. This piece of land has become a zone of exclusive access for a narrow circle of researchers. Fugel and his team continue to study paranormal phenomena, which were also recorded by previous owners earlier. He describes his observations and beliefs categorically. He doesn't just believe in anomalous phenomena on the ranch, he saw them and wrote them down. It's interesting that we are not only talking about observations of an alien or paranormal presence. Many researchers mention the so-called hitchhiker phenomenon, which suggests that the energy of a place has a lasting effect on visitors even after they leave the ranch. An example of this is the case of Dr. Travis Taylor, who encountered unexplained technical malfunctions in his car far from the ranch, which coincided with anomalies occurring on the ranch itself at the same time. Although there is currently no documentary evidence of the hypotheses and assumptions expressed, ongoing Fugel and his team's research and observations still attract the attention of both the scientific and curious communities. This emphasizes the uniqueness and ambiguity of the former, Skinwalker, as a place with a strong and unusual energy, which leaves a noticeable imprint on everyone who encounters it. But there are also conspiracy theories. Of the most popular versions is the assumption that it used to be a place for secret government experiments. This idea does not seem so ridiculous if you delve into the details. Firstly, it used to be in a remote and inaccessible area, which creates ideal conditions for secret tests, minimizing the risk of accidental witnesses. Secondly, the constant change of owners and their mysterious stories fuel theories that the government could use each new administration of the ranch for various purposes, including testing the latest technologies or studying extraordinary phenomena. In addition, many technologies described by witnesses could be part of military developments. There is also an assumption that the government could be interested in study of paranormal phenomena in the context of psychological warfare or the development of a new type of weapons. The presence of phenomena on the ranch resembling poltergeist or other paranormal activity, possibly associated with the use of high-tech devices capable of influencing the environment and human perception. Ultimately, Although there is no direct evidence in favor of this version, the abundance of unexplained events and features of the former Skinwalker continue to attract both researchers and simply the curious yatch of whom is looking for answers to the questions hidden behind its mysterious borders. And could the Skinwalker Ranch be just a fiction, a large-scale joker myth created for entertainment? This version sounds no less exciting than any paranormal theories associated with this place. Perhaps the stories about the ranch, with Skinwalker, is simply a well-planned marketing ploy aimed at attracting tourists or fans of the supernatural. Is it a social experiment designed to study the reaction of the public to information about paranormal phenomena? Think about it yourself. Firstly, despite many stories about strange phenomena, there is still not a single reliable piece of evidence confirming paranormal activity on the ranches. So many studies, but not a single intelligible video. All the so-called evidence can be easily fabricated or interpreted differently. Secondly, Skinwalker used to have a certain reputation which can be used as a tool to attract the attention of the media and scientists, as well as stimulating the local economy through tourism. Nonsense. Yes, I think so too. After all, the former owners did not try to monetize their ranch in any way, but simply tried to escape from there. Even the billionaire did not develop this story, but simply got rid of this land. How can a joke explain this? I can't say for sure what is happening there before some evidence is true, and some is exaggerated, but there is no smoke without fire. And what do you think? Would you dare to live on this ranch? Be sure to write to comments. I'll be happy to read it.